Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. If you feel that you can't make enough money, or you feel that you're stuck in a relationship, or let's say you're afraid to get on a plane, you have beliefs that are holding you back. We call those limiting beliefs. And most of this goes back to our childhoods, believe it or not. And we're still piloting on that program today. How do you change these beliefs, these limiting beliefs? Hypnotherapy is one way. I can tell you firsthand, it works. It's amazing for just about everything you're trying to achieve and change the beliefs that you have. We're going to talk about that today. She is somebody who harnesses the power of Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and also hypnosis out of New York, our professional of the year. Dr. Kelly joins us once again on the program. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you doing?
Excited to share this with others because that was the realization I had. Limiting beliefs. Didn't even know they existed. We all have them. And once I started using hypnosis, and I've done a session with you and actually very impactful about food and weight management, it changes your life when you realize what is going on from your childhood and it's still sticking with you today. Tell us more about that.
Yes, I think most of us have limiting beliefs, or even almost everyone have some limiting beliefs. Just way of more or less. Like some people have more limiting beliefs. Like, for example, they don't think they can make enough money. They don't think they're good enough. Some people may have like less area of limiting beliefs. But either way, we all have some limiting beliefs which can affect our money, finance, can affect our relationship, can affect our job, can affect like almost every area of our lives. So when you go through hypnosis, you can get rid of that limiting beliefs. Your relationship can get better, your finance can get better, your career can take another level. So I think everybody should try at least one hypnosis.
Do you need to know in advance what you're trying to achieve? Or can you just go into a session of hypnosis and the stuff could potentially come up? I call it connecting the dots. So you connect the dots from now to your childhood and then realize what's holding you back?
Yes, that's a very good question. Like, for example, some people don't even know what is their biggest challenge. That's why we have a certain question to ask you. Like you said, we're connecting the dots. During the question, actually, it will come up by itself.
Can you give an example?
Yes, actually, I already did 2 sessions with this young gentleman. So, at the first, the wife came in for fertility, but then she brought the husband. So I would think fertility is his biggest challenge. But actually, during the session, when I asked him, what is your biggest challenge currently in your life? He said, I have to decide my CTO. That is kind of like auto blue because the wife coming in for fertility, he coming in for fertility. But then during the hypnosis, he didn't mention anything about fertility. Instead, he like, oh, I'm running this company, but the products is not good. So which means I have to get the right CTO, so which get the correct product. I can sell it to customer. I can get more money. Also like my wife has been complaining about I don't bring back enough money. So the thing will come up automatically.
The money thing is big. Why don't we focus on that for a moment? Yeah, it's called, as I understand it, scarcity mindset, where you have a belief that you can't make more money. And as an example, and if you go back to childhood, how many parents have said to their kids, whoa, wait a minute, save your money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Be careful what you buy. You don't need that. We've all said it to our kids, and our parents said it to us, and before and before and before. So that, for some kids, will plant the seed that we won't have enough money. Or if you grew up in a household that didn't have enough money, there you go. There it is in front of you. And we take that and we continue with that mindset. And then also, many of us have in us the thought that we're not good enough. And as I understand it, we all have it. It's kind of fundamental in different areas. Now, if you have that thought, the scarcity mindset of money from your childhood, and then you have that feeling that in some ways you're not good enough, you're probably not going to make the money you deserve because you think, well, I'm not good enough to make it in your mind. Money's hard to come by because that came from childhood. And now you're stuck. You're stuck in that program from your childhood. And now you're not making enough money. So, yeah, as an example, can hypnosis move us past that?
Yes, actually, you're totally right on this part. Like, for example, this gentleman, right? He wants to running his own company, right? So one day, he can make a lot of money. But currently, because it just started, so the money is not that stable. So his wife kind of like, why don't you just go to work for Google, right?
Right.
Google pay you certain amount of money, so at least it's stable.
Yep.
But to him, working for Google is not his dream. Working for his own company is his dream.
Yep.
So then when we go back to his, to his family, for example, one of the question is, how does your father relate to your current situation? How does your mom relate to current situation? So he said, well, my dad went through like a big challenge about the finance, but he made money. So I have a lot of similarity with my dad. But my mom has a lot of similarity with my wife. They kind of like has the fear of money. So they don't feel secure. They kind of like, oh, just get a stable job. At least you get a paycheck every month. So that kind of fear also kind of like passed down to him. He has his dad's like confidence. I can overcome, I can challenge this, difficulty, like I can make my finance. But he also got some from his mom, like, oh, I don't think I can. That's why he's struggling. Like, should I work on my own company or should I listen to my wife, go to just get a job in a bigger company?
Yeah. I have a friend, wonderful person, single mom. She is so charitable, runs a charity, connects people. Amazing. Struggles with money. I know, based on what she's told me, that she grew up that way with her mom, who's no longer around. And her ex used to do the same thing, say those things about money. So she's got that programmed in her head that, and she also struggled with weight. She lost a lot of weight. Looks fantastic, a lot of weight. But that is also in her mind, potentially making her think that, I'm just not good enough. Maybe I got teased when I was younger for the weight. Then I have my mom, money, money, and she's stuck in this same situation, never moves forward. But she does wonderful things, and she's got the potential to make a lot of money, but she's stuck there. And I don't think she realizes it. I try to drop hints, but we can only do so much. But once you realize this kind of stuff, as I did, it's a game changer. Your life changes. It's amazing. Even getting on a plane, you have fear, phobia. And that's a whole other one there. You might have the limiting belief that I won't have control when I get on that plane, or I don't know how I'm going to react. What's going to happen? And now I'm 30,000 feet up in this tin can. Well, what if? What if? What if? That probably comes back from your childhood. And I'm just going to go hypothetical here. Maybe somebody's brother or sister locked them in a closet. Man, they're 7 years old. It was just for fun. It was traumatic though. Stuck in your mind. Now you have that belief. Now you're claustrophobic. Now you're on a plane in a piece of metal 30,000 feet up. Same kind of feeling comes up. You're afraid to get on that plane. Could that be, I'm making that up, but could that be something that holds you back from getting on a plane?
Oh yeah, so like you said, when it happened when you were a child, you were locked, in a dark room because you kind of like you were naughty, you didn't listen or something. It can be very scary, right? To to any child, that is very traumatic things. So it can have big effect on the life later, like you said. 3 years old, you were locked in a dark room for half an hour. Maybe later you just don't want to go to any room, closed, dark, because
Mm,
that's scared. That's
mm,
very, very scary to anyone. But some people, they may like do some, like for example, hypnosis to over counter it. They can get over it. But some people maybe they can stuck in their whole life because of that.
mm. Can you give us, I love hearing how it's changed others' lives. Can you give us examples of things you've heard of, people you've worked with?
Yeah, like for example, this lady, she, so what happened to her is when she was younger, when she was younger, her parents it's just so funny. So many parents wanted a boy in China. Like usually happening in China. I
Mm,
don't think that happened a lot in America. I mean, it's old, a little bit old culture, you know, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even 50 years ago. Parents they want a boy, but somehow, it's a girl. So usually that's kind of limiting beliefs to make the girl think, oh, I'm just not good enough. I'm not smart enough. That happened to a lot of people actually in China
mm,
because of the boy and girl thing. So like for example, in the marriage, the wife always think, oh, I'm not good enough. So it doesn't matter how hard I work, doesn't matter how much money I make, doesn't matter how much I do at home. My husband just not gonna be happy because I'm not good enough. So that happened to so many people, like during their marriage. Like if you look at the wife, like beautiful, smart, have a very high position, even make a lot of money. The husband can be like much less education. I'm not saying less education is bad. I just say the wife on the surface, right, have better education, better job, make more money, looking good. But somehow the husband, kind of like less education, not so good looking, not, but the husband not like happy with the wife. On the surface, you should be very, very happy to get such a wife. But because the wife has the limiting belief, oh, I'm not good enough, kind of like attract the spouse, like, oh, I just don't think you're good enough. It doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how good you look. So that kind of limiting belief affecting so many marriage actually. And but after hypnosis, after people realize that it's like you said, it's a game changer. So people like their thoughts are gonna change. So the husband gonna change, wife gonna change, their marriage can really change to a like which much better level. They realize, oh, actually I love you, actually I appreciate you, actually you're so good. And the person who really I'm good, I make money, I'm healthy, I'm a good person, then the relationship totally change, your career, everything change.
mm. And for anybody that's a little uncomfortable with the thought of hypnosis, we've said it before. I think we should say it again that we're not controlling your mind in that. When you, as the hypnotist, you're not taking over somebody's mind. You're just giving us basically the keys to allow us to go back to our childhood, to repattern, reprogram the way we think. And that's, you could be in a hypnosis situation, right? And you could just say, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why you would, but you could if you wanted to, right?
Yeah, like you said, hypnosis doesn't mean you're gonna totally lose your control. You're still aware what's going on. It's a conversation between hypnotherapist and the patient.
Hmm.
You know what you're talking, you know what you're hearing, you know what's going on around. So you're not in a situation you cannot control at all. So in that way, you don't need to worry because I think on the TV, on the movie, there's some thing about hypnosis. People may get a wrong idea about hypnosis. The real hypnosis a little bit similar, like you just get a therapy, you're just talking with someone.
Yep.
As a hypnotherapist, what our job is basically just ask you a question, make you more relaxed. You can go down to a little bit deeper, but you are still aware. So you just go to a like deeper, more relaxed situation. In that way, you can recall a lot of things happening in your childhood, or even, if people believe even before you were born. Actually, you know what? The crazy thing is when I learned Chinese medicine, we did talk about, when we were made at that moment, actually our extraordinary channel already made, which means our life of the blueprint already mapped, whatever gonna happen, later on. It sounds crazy, but think about this. We have half of the gene from mom, half of the gene from dad. Basically, their part of their life or their memory can pass down to us. We don't just take a good thing. Oh, my mom is beautiful, so I am beautiful. You also take some of the trauma your mom went through, right? Oh, my dad is very smart, so I'm smart. No, you also take some of the dad's trauma, also can pass down to you. So in that way, you take over the whole package, almost. Of course, we are not exactly like our parents, but somehow we all agree we have a similarity with our parents.
Hmm.
That is so true, right? Nobody can deny that.
Oh my gosh. Um, I wasn't close with my dad. My parents got divorced when I was very young. So there's stuff right there. There's going to be things in the childhood, that need to be worked through. Um, my dad passed when I was 21 suddenly. And he liked the water. I liked the water. So I know we had similarities. Now, fast forward to my life now, to illustrate your point, I'm him. I'm living his life. I am him. I never thought I would ever say that. Not a bad thing, but it's like, wow, wow. Never saw that coming. So you're right. We are our parents, whether we realize it, whether we want to admit it. They instilled things in us as their parents did, and on and on and on. And I just want to say, in the hypnosis session that we did together, and I've done them with other practitioners before, all virtual, always virtual. When it was with you, I didn't feel I was under hypnosis. Now, with the others, yeah, I felt a little bit like, sort of like watching TV in my mind and things like that. All good. But it was interestingly different that like you just said, you were asking questions. I was thinking about them. I was answering them. And then I had clarity on what happened in my childhood, and it repeated itself in my adult life when it comes to weight management, food, and things like that. My goal to lose like 15 pounds. It hasn't gone away. I'm working out. I think I'm eating well. There was something there. And the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I missed that, but it came up during hypnosis. but I didn't even feel like I was even under hypnosis. It was kind of weird, but it worked. It worked beautifully. Um, uh, can you work with anybody virtually on this? Doesn't matter. Anybody you could do it with, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have Zoom nowadays. We can just do on Zoom. As long as you in a, quiet environment, we don't want a lot of noise going on, dog barking or something. As long as you are in a quiet environment, yeah, we can do on Zoom. Actually, a lot of people, they only do on Zoom. But I have patients coming for acupuncture, so sometimes I put in needle, people lying down with acupuncture needle, then I will start the hypnosis. Let's actually have very good results. So, but if you're far away, we can just do on Zoom. So, yes.
I think it's better because you're more comfortable. You could be sitting there in your pajamas. It doesn't matter. You could be your most comfortable chair. Many times I've been laying down just on a couch and just kind of reflecting, and it's just more comfortable. I prefer virtual over in person when it comes to hypnosis. I just feel it's better. Yeah, there's other things maybe better to be in person. Obviously, you do acupuncture. That's got to be in person. Um, Final question. You are familiar with many different modalities to help people. What was it, Dr. Kelly, about hypnosis that made you want to study it, learn about it, take the training, and then offer it? What was it?
Well, I would say acupuncture is very powerful, right? I have been helping patients with fertility or PTSD or pain or whatever. Um, but I do feel sometimes it is a little bit challenging when people have the background of, for example, they went through divorce, then the kids kind of like, they have depression. So the mom is very anxious because their kids, is not in a good shape. And in this kind of situation, I feel like hypnosis can help even more. Of course, with acupuncture, you know, can still make you like look much more beautiful. That one, of course, hypnosis also because during hypnosis, we can get rid of the limiting beliefs. Yeah. Some people think, oh, if I get to certain age, I have to have wrinkles, I have to look like old or something. No, you don't have to. A lot of people, they are 50 years old, they still look very young, very beautiful. We can use acupuncture, we can use hypnosis, of course, plus some, healthy diet or a certain amount of workout. You can, 50 years old, you can still look very young and beautiful. So that's why I think hypnosis plus acupuncture, can be very, very powerful. And especially on the relationship, on the education to kids, I think hypnosis is very powerful because if we carry on some trauma from childhood or from our parents or grandparents, if we pass down to the children gonna have the trauma also maybe one day or maybe sooner or maybe later. So in that way, I think hypnosis is very, very important for like a relationship, for like a parenting, for like, finance. So a lot of area, hypnosis is very, very powerful.
Change your life. Go to this website, kelly121acupuncture.com. On that website, you can also ask questions, make an appointment, even for hypnosis, certainly acupuncture as well if you're in the New York City metro area, and change your life. And yes, it's the body, the mind all comes together with the acupuncture and the hypnosis. You don't have to do both. You can do one or the other. You don't have to do both, but if you choose to, you had me, with the acupuncture thing when you said it does the same thing if you so choose it that Botox does and smooths out your skin. And that's just one thing that you can achieve with that. Kelly121acupuncture.com. Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for the insight. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.